What is up, Squared Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos. And today, I'm going to be going over my first EX2 deck. I know EX2's been out for about maybe 3 weeks now. And it's kind of, I don't want to say old news because I know they've been revealing stuff for BT9. But, my wife did just have our most recent child, so I was a little bit, preoccupied. Shout out to my son, Theo. But I wanted to go ahead and show you guys what I've been kind of testing / playing heavily out of EX2. So if you saw in the thumbnail, we're going to be going over our Beelzemon deck profile. I've had a lot of interesting interactions with most of my matchups. It's definitely a little bit of a high roll deck. If you can get all your pieces and mill very well, then you'll do fine. I've tried to make it as consistent as possible, which you'll see some of the choices I've made will probably reflect that. But for the most part, Beelzemon is one of the greatest characters to ever come out of the Digimon anime in Tamers. So I kind of want to just go ahead and take a stab at, building a deck off of it. So let's go over the eggs first. We're playing 4 Demi-Miramon. This is the BT8 Demi-Miramon. I like playing 4 eggs just for consistency. I know you can make the argument for 5, but I just like playing the 4 eggs that I want to play. And he's really good because when one of your cards is sent from your deck to your trash, which is the basic strategy of this deck, you draw a card. So believe it or not, purple is known for drawing a lot and trashing a lot. This deck does draw a lot, so you do have to be careful when you mill and when you draw. You don't want to deck yourself out too quickly, but you definitely want to be able to fill your trash as efficiently as possible to make sure that your effects go off. So we're playing 4 of the Demi-Miramons, and then on to the main deck itself. Our rookie count, we're playing 4 Impmons. You're gonna see a lot of these Impmons. So we're playing 4 of this Impmon. Basically, on deletion, you mill the top 3 cards from your deck to your trash. It's just another way of getting your pieces in the trash that you need in order for your effects to go off. I do apologize for the glare, but this is kind of like an Impmon / Beelzemon like tribal deck, I guess you could say, because most of the plays involve Impmons and Beelzemons. But this is one of your main rookies that you want to go into. We're also playing 4 copies of this Impmon here. I like this guy a lot. So this is actually my favorite rookie in the deck, just for one specific reason. I love the on play of trashing a card from your hand and then getting one of your Demon Lords back. So essentially what this does is this allows you to pitch dead blast modes in your hand, so you can get your level 6 Beelzemons out of your trash into your hand, because you don't want to draw into your blast modes. You definitely want them in the trash, or you want to flip them off security because he's a 15k. But for the most part, this allows you to get that level 6 Beelzemon from the trash to your hand, because he is a Demon Lord or 7th grade Demon Lord. So he's my favorite rookie in the deck. And then obviously the new rookie that we got from EX2 is the EX2 version of Iman. This guy's really good on play. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck, and you can add 1 Tamer, which is the Iman Maco, and 1 card with Beelzemon in its name. So you can add a Beelzemon, you can add a Blast Mode, and you can add your Tamer, which is really nice. And then if he gets milled off of an effect, not including his own, you can mill 3 more cards. So if he's sent to the trash either by one of your just standard milling effects or like a Beelzemon, you'll go ahead and extend that by 3 more. I believe it's a mandatory effect. I don't think it's optional. Oh, this is an optional effect. So yeah, so you got to be careful on the one main thing I have noticed playing this deck is you have to be careful when to mill. You don't want to just turbo mill yourself out, because you will essentially just lose by deck out if that's the case. But you definitely want to make sure that you're optimizing your mills as much as possible. Now, I'm a newer player, so I might not know what I'm talking about, but I've just playing card games for a very long time in general. You obviously don't want to deck yourself out, so just be careful when you trigger these effects. But he is really good because he helps facilitate your strategy. Onto the champions. We're just playing the 12 rookies. So onto the champions here. We're playing 4 Soulmon. He's also a card from BT8. He doesn't do anything fancy. The good thing about this guy is the inheritable. Basically, when you mill a card from the top of your deck, you get to gain a memory as an inheritable. So it's just really nice because it helps you gain memory in a deck that I don't want to say starves for it, but it kind of needs it to make his plays and not pass turn. So you want to be able to efficiently play your cards without having to pass turn to your opponent, which is going to extend your volatility, which is what's going to win you the game. So we're playing 4 Soulmons. We're also playing 4 Ogremons just for some board control here. I also like the ability of Ogremon to be able to pitch a card from your hand as well. In combination with the Impmon, just if you get dead cards in your hand that you don't want, you want to send to the trash, or you want to be able to fetch them out, or you want to just be able to plus, generically off of your recursion, whether it's adding a Demon Lord or whatever the case may be. This is going to trigger removal on board for a Digimon that's cost 4 or less, or a level 4 or less. So it could get rid of champions, to get rid of rookies. If it's any rookie rush or armor purge or anything like that, you can just go ahead and slam this guy on the table. Paying 5 for hard casting a Digimon is not that bad, especially with most of your turns starting off at 3. Putting your opponent to 2 to kill something and pitch a dead card isn't that bad. He's also a purple champion that you can evolve over, moving up your chain. So we're playing 4 of those, and then our last champion, we're playing 2 Dobermans. I originally had this guy at 4. He was like my main champion that I was using, but his mill effect is too much. Like I said, you want to be able to control your mills as much as possible, and you want to mill, yes, of course, because it facilitates your strategy, but you want to do it efficiently. I didn't want to cut him completely because when he is sent to the trash, he does mill 3 cards, and then you can add a purple Digimon or Tamer from your trash to your hand, which is really nice because if your Tamers get milled and there's no way of getting them, you could just windmill slam a Doberman on the table and just kind of either crash into security or crash into like a, something on the board that you want to just get rid of, and then facilitate your mill that way. So I'm just playing 2 of him. Like I said, I didn't think he was necessary at 4, but I did feel like he was still good enough to play at a certain amount in the deck, and 2 is the right number for me. So we're playing 14. We're playing 12 rookies and 10 champions. Onto the ultimates. I'm playing 4 Skull Sadamon. This to me is your best stack is gonna be EX02 Impmon, Soulmon, and then 4 of this guy Skull Sadamon. So the reason I say that is because the inheritable on the Impmon is gonna give plus 2k DP to a Beelzemon, and then Soulmon and Skull Sadamon, when cards are milled, they gain you memory. So he will gain you a memory when you mill a card, and Soulmon will gain you a memory when you mill a card off the inheritable. So if you Digivolve into a Beelzemon, a level 6, right off the bat, he's going to mill you 2 cards. You're going to gain 2 memory if you have your correct stack. He's also really good because on Digivolve, you will trash the top 2 cards of your deck and then add 1 Demon Lord from your trash to your hand. So it's going to get you that Beelzemon piece that you need to Digivolve up into. And he's also going to trigger some milling as well. His mill is mandatory. It is not optional if you want to add a Digimon back from the trash to your hand. So he's really good. 7k DP is a little weak for ultimates, but at the same time, we're not focusing too much on attacking with these guys. This is a just big stack type deck. You want to be able to get to your Mega as quickly as possible, and this is going to help you kind of mitigate that because you're not essentially paying full memory for it, since you do gain memory back when you do mill cards. So we're playing 4 of those, and then my secondary ultimate is 3 Myotismons from BT8. There are a lot of different options that you could play. I'm actually looking at playing him for now, but I'm also eyeing the Lady Devimon from EX1, just in case I don't like how this guy synergizes with the deck, because essentially you're only getting 1 of his effects. Basically on Digivolve, you're just trashing 2, because we're not playing any Mr. Oikawa Tamers in the deck, so you're not going to be able to benefit off of that. But again, he just goes in hand with the ability of being able to trash cards on the top of your deck. He is a little bit stronger than Sadamon, being an 8k, but the main reason you're playing him is to just be able to facilitate your mill, as well as not lock yourself out of going up to your chain, from champion to ultimate to mega. So we're playing 3 of him. Like I said, the verdict's still out on my Otismon. I'm just kind of seeing where it goes, and I might make the consideration of changing it to Lady Devimon. So this is the only flex spot in the deck, really. If there's any other better ultimates you want to use, that's totally fine. I know a lot of people are using the Black War Gromon. Neo Devimon is also a really good ultimate that I like as well, especially all these hybrid decks running around. So just take that into consideration. This is probably the only flex spot that you have in the deck. So on to the Megas. We're playing just 4 Beelzemon. This guy is just awesome. You know, he's your level 6. He's your main boss monster of the deck, or your most consistent boss monster is what I should say. He's an 11k attacker, which is a little low, but you do get the inheritable off the Antmon, making it a 13 swing. But there are other ways of being able to pump his attack and make him attack more efficiently. You know, with your Digivolution going up into your blast mode. So basically, on Digivolve with him, you get to mill the top 2 cards of your deck. If you attack, you get to also do the same thing. The other thing too is when he is trashed from your deck, like if he's milled, he will allow you to play an Imon from your trash. So it's just a nice way of gaining advantage for milling cards. And then if you obviously play your on-play Imons, you'll get their skills, whether it's look at top X or trash your card to gain a card, stuff like that. So he's really nice to have to go into, and he's only a Digivolve cost 3, which is huge because you can start your turn with 3 memory on a tamer, Digivolve into your Mega, and not have to pass turn, which is really nice. And then in combination with Beelzemon, your true real boss monster of the deck, we are playing 2 blast modes. This is a level 7 of the deck. This guy is just a monster. If he's milled from the deck into the trash, you can delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon, and then when he Digivolves, you can delete Digimon on the opponent's side with the highest attack. If it's a tie, you delete all of them. So I shouldn't say attack, I should say highest DP. So he can just kind of clear boards if he's played properly. Obviously, if he's trash from deck, you'll be able to clear level 4. And being a 15k body, if your opponent hits that insecurity, it's not gonna be a fun time for them. Also, when he attacks, if for every 10 cards in your trash, you get security attack +1. So at minimum, he's always going to swing for 2 checks. But for the most part, you're going to want to try and maximize your mills to get this guy up to like 2 and 3 checks, and sometimes even 4 checks. If you have 30 cards in trash, that'll be 4 checks. You could just kind of win the game with him on his own. But he is a 6 Digivolution. Normally, there are other ways to cheat him out, which we'll get into. But you definitely want to. 2 is probably the sweet spot. I've seen people play 3. I've seen people play 4, which is nuts. But I think 2 is a sweet spot because there are ways of recurring him from the trash. And then our last, Digimon is hybrid for game. It could be any purple hybrid. I just like having the 1 hybrid for game. I mostly play 2 hybrids in most of my lists, but with purple you can get cards back, so I'm just playing the 1 hybrid for game in this deck. And then our tamer of choice, we're playing 4 Iron Maco. This card's your memory tamer. It's going to start your turn with 3 memory. You get to search it off of your rookie Imons for top 4, and then also when you attack, you can mill the top card of your deck, and if it's a Beelzemon that attacked, you can Digivolve into a blast mode from your trash for 3 memory, which is insane that you can just kind of play your Beelzemon out, swing, mill 1, and then go ahead and trigger that Digivolution to go into blast mode. And if you've already met the requirements for having more, 10 or more cards in your security, he is going to get that +1 security, which is really nice. This is a good, efficient way of cheating him out. You don't mind running multiples of this because of the milling ability. If you don't get your mills off going very quickly and you want to subsidize that by playing your tamers, you can go ahead and just stack multiples of these on the board, because every time you attack, you can suspend to mill 1 from the top of your deck. So if you want to just utilize the milling strategy that way as well, is another option of instead of just reaping the benefits of your Digimon's effect. So we're playing 4 Iron Mako as our tamer of choice. I was experimenting with Alice, but I feel like she's a good tamer for a different type of deck. I could be totally wrong, but just in my experience, that's what I've been testing or I've had success with. Onto the options. We're playing 4 Death Stinger. I usually like playing 3 removal spells in most of my decks. If you guys saw my Armor Rush deck list, I was playing 2 to 3 Megadeth and now 2 to 3 V Wingblade. I like having 2 to 3 removal spells just because it's nice, but this card, it does so much. When it's trashed from the top of your deck or milled, you do gain a memory, and then the main effect is you can delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower. your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. But for every 10 cards in your trash, you can increase that level by 1. So if you have 10 cards in your trash, you can delete level 5s, 20 would be 6s, 30 would be 7s, you know, so on and so forth. So getting cards milled into the trash and having just a removal spell for a mega is kind of ridiculous. And, you know, you do get the added benefit of if this card is milled from the top of the deck, you get to gain a memory. So it's nice defensively as well. So we're playing 3 of those. We're also playing the best option in the deck, in my opinion. We're playing 3 Jackery. This is essentially like purple hammer spark. Basically what it does is you gain a memory for every 10 cards in your trash. And then if it's hit off security, you gain 2 memories. So, you know, this is essentially hammer spark for purple. I don't really use this until I have at least, you know, if I'm in a pinch, I'll do it with 10, but I usually like doing this to gain 2 memory. Having you know, 20 cards in trash, because if you stack multiples of these, then you can go up your chain completely without having to worry about, you know, exhausting too much memory. You know, but playing this for free with 10 cards in trash for 1 memory is not that bad. I just prefer playing it for free to gain 2. That's just me being greedy. But hitting it off security is also nice because this is huge momentum swing, just like Hammer Spark. In my opinion, I think this is probably the best option you can play in this type of purple deck, because you want to commit big bodies to the board and you want to just make sure that you can do that without passing your opponent to your turn to your opponent. I'm playing 2 missed memory boosts. I was debating on either this or purple memory boost, but the fact that this just, you know, coincides with the strategy of milling cards on the top of your deck. Yes, you don't get that search, but you can search cards out of your trash. So essentially, your trash is acting as a secondary resource in this type of build, as opposed to getting cards, you know, and digging from your deck. You're just going to be accessing cards from your trash and adding it back to hand, you know, for further use down the road. Obviously, on delay, you can gain 2 memory, which is nice. There's no effect for it being trashed off the deck or milled, but obviously if it's hit from security, you can just put it in your battle area and then just activate its delay next turn. No big deal. But I do like this card because it does draw you 1 as well as milling 2, so you can just go ahead and trigger all your effects that were milled that way as well. And then the last 2 options I play in the deck is 2 Calling from Darkness. You can make the argument to play more than 2 or less than 2. It really is player preference at this point. I like this card because it does only cost you 1 memory. Yes, you do have to delete one of your Digimon, but it grabs you 2 from the trash. And if you're comboing this with like a Doberman, it's really nice because you can swing with your Doberman. You know, if you intend on crashing it or checking a security, if it doesn't die in security, you can Calling from Darkness to kill the Doberman. The Doberman will trigger its deletion effect. You'll get 2 Digimon that way, and then Doberman will trigger and get you a Digimon or a Tamer out of the trash. So you just kind of cycled efficiently. And this is also a really good card to choke your opponent for memory. It is only a 1 cost, so if they're not playing their memory Tamer, you can kind of choke them and still gain advantage on your turn by facilitating your milling strategies and getting those cards that you need. That is the reason I only play 1 hybrid, because I can just Calling for Darkness, kill something on my board, get the hybrid back, Digivolve for 2, swing for game. That's a combo that happens a lot. I did have to, one game I was playing, I did have to Calling for Darkness on my blast mode, just so I can get the hybrid out of the trash area to Digivolve on top of my Tamer for game. So that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, this isn't like the end-all, be-all of the Beelzemon lists. I've just had a lot of fun playing with this version of the deck. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely like not the most autopilot kind of deck. Like, it definitely takes a little bit of getting used to, with a lot of trial and error, just to kind of see what see what works for your preference. But once you get the hang of it, it is really fun. If you Yu-Gi-Oh players, if you can compare this to Lightsworn, I guess. But for the most part, I really do enjoy Beelzemon as a deck itself. It does not have the greatest Guillaumon matchup. Like, if you're playing against Crimson Mode, you just kind of lose to Crimson Mode because you're milling yourself out, and Crimson Mode just loves that. So if you sit across a Guillaumon player or a Crimson Mode player, just be careful. Hopefully they brick and they don't just steamroll you over with Crimson mode. But let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and please hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with everything No Counters, No Combos. We really do appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.